Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Looking for Love in All the Wrong Dust Jackets, a show where three disgruntled harpies talk to you about everything we love in romance, whether that's books, movies, TV shows, whatever we like. My name's Liz.
I'm Danny.
I'm Wiggles.
And welcome to the episode. Today we are discussing 27 dresses. Ooh, But before we get into that, before we get it going, I got to warn you, I got to let the people know that we are crass and unhinged. We're terribly unladylike. And we're going to talk about all of them naughty times using all them 4-letter words.
There isn't any.
Naughty times?
Yeah.
I mean, not on the screen. No, there is something that happens off screen, but
I'm pretty sure they say a couple naughty words.
Well, I meant naughty times. We're going to say all the naughty words. That's...
I'm just saying.
they do have a nice string of jokes about cock and
Yes.
cocking.
Yes. I appreciated that joke. Yes.
Anyway, Wigs, what do you got about 27 dresses over there?
Okay. This is what IMDb has to say about the trivia. So we've got the wardrobe department reported that their initial designs for the dresses all look too good on Katherine Heigl, which is like, okay, you don't need to rub it in the faces of literally everyone that she's the way too beautiful. Okay, fuck off a little bit. Like, that's aggressive. And then apparently Katherine Heigl is actually younger than Malin Ackerman, who plays the younger sister. Also, apparently there were some fake prints for the movie called Wardrobe that were sent out. And that was not real. And even
27 dresses is a much better name than wardrobe.
Yeah, that would be fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And also, most of it was shot in Rhode Island, even though it's supposed to be in New York City. And yeah, so there's some more here, but they look kind of boring. So we're going to just move on past that. And we're going to go to Danny. What is 27 Dresses about?
27 Dresses is about a girl who is kind of really type A, but only really specifically about weddings. She had a happy thing where she fixed something at a wedding that she was at when she was a kid, and she's become kind of obsessed with them. She has now been a bridesmaid in 27 weddings. Maid of honor in most of them, I think.
Yeah.
Many at the very least.
And she is now going to be the maid of honor in her sister's wedding to her crush, her big crush, who is also her boss.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And there is a gentleman who is the person who writes the stories for the newspaper about weddings and everything, that she's a little obsessed with his writing, and turns out he's very cynical.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets kind of mixed in there. He accidentally meets her at one of the weddings she's at, and she's going back and forth in a cab to another wedding that she is also the maid of honor in.
Yes.
And yeah, they fall for each other. Let's discuss.
I mean, right off the bat, I have to say, like, the whole premise is based on rich people shit.
Oh, for sure.
Because, when I remember watching this as a movie, and I was like, reporters report on people's weddings?
Yes.
What does that mean?
I'm still a little flummoxed by it myself.
Yeah. Yes.
We are also not particularly girly women.
Yes. But, like, I don't have quite this character's track record, but I have been in 9 weddings. And, we don't have his and hers bridal showers. A bridal shower is literally just gifts. And people are like, look at this thing I got you. It's not this thing where you have this like big elaborate thing planned out. The idea of going from wedding dress store to wedding dress store really isn't a thing, because there's like 5 in the whole state probably. So like, where are you going to go? It's just, it's a little not relatable on that front.
To be fair, from my wedding, I think I went to 4 wedding dress stores in one day.
All 4 of them in the state.
Not in the state. No.
Yeah, I've been in 2 weddings, but one of them was my brother's wedding, and my sister-in-law could not have been more chill if she tried. She literally said, "Cool, find a black dress. I don't care where."
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Do you know how easy that was? I have worn my bridesmaid dress from my brother's wedding so many times.
Yeah. Which that's the joke of this movie, right? Like, oh, you can just shorten it and wear it later.
Yes. Which is like, no one's ever going to do that.
No.
I can say this as a fundamental truth. I have never had a wedding dress I've never had a wedding dress. This is true. I've never had a bridesmaid's dress that I was like, I have someplace else I can wear this again.
Yeah.
Ever. Not one. Some of the jewelry and shoes and things like accessories that people have given me, I've used again quite a bit. But like that's also because I don't buy jewelry. So
well, and the only reason that I've worn the dress from my brother's wedding again is because it's literally something that I bought myself at a store.
Yeah.
It's a little black dress. It's so usable.
Right.
yes.
Now, can I wear the dress from my cousin's wedding? Nah. Although it is a little Lord of the Ringsy.
You could cosplay with it then.
I could. It is
Yeah.
purple though.
That's okay. You could cosplay with it.
I will say though, the one argument you could make to this seeming a little bit unrealistic is yes, the dresses are, I could see somebody choosing them to put in their wedding. A lot of them are just ugly. Like they're not theme wedding ugly. They're just ugly. And I don't think I've ever had a bride intentionally put me in something that I'm like, oh my God.
It does happen though.
Well, the first wedding I was in, the dresses were picked out based on the skin tone of the bride's sister, who is incredibly tan.
Oh no.
And so they picked out these pale yellow dresses for a bunch of pale pasty bitches to be wearing.
So you looked like your liver was failing?
It wasn't great. And then on top of it, the one girl, like something got messed up with her dress order. And so she had a dress that was 4 sizes too small the day of the wedding. And so I gave her mine, which was like in between.
Yeah.
And I had to wear her dress, which was 2 sizes too small. And the bosoms were
I was just
popping.
saying, all I can think is the bubbies would be attacking.
They were aggressive. They were like in every picture. It was like the one where she's got the LA wedding dress and it's pink and she keeps like pulling it down.
Yeah.
And like putting her. It was that, only it was the flowers in front of the bosoms. Every angle. Oh, the groomsmen I walked down the aisle. Why don't you like just put your shoulder here and I'll lean over. Like very strategically, and a Catholic wedding at that.
Oh no.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. That was my one gripe to the wardrobe choices they made for that. They like almost went too far in some of them.
They definitely did, especially because there were so many themed, but that's how they got that really fun montage.
It's true.
And
Yeah.
honestly, that looked like so much fun to film.
Mm-hmm.
And how many different photo shoots did Katherine Heigl have to go to get all of the pictures of her at these weddings?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure at one point she just fully went manic with it and was like, yeah,
I'm here again.
I'm here to dance in this wedding dress or this bridesmaid dress again.
I will say, so, you mentioned that they said on IMDb that they were at first like, she looks too good in these. It almost makes me wonder with some of the color choices
Yeah.
as well, why they did the thing. Because like the Gone with the Wind dress, it was yellow. And as much as I love Katherine Heigl and everything, she is also a pasty bitch and we don't do yellow well.
No, it doesn't look good.
No. I can't wear yellow. It
You can
makes
wear
me
like a
look my liver's failing.
goldenrod,
Yeah.
Yes.
but not like a true yellow. That's
No. Mm-mm.
aggressive.
I didn't mind the very first dress she puts on in the montage. I know the joke is like, ugh, but the color. And I'm like, it's not actually a bad color. It's just olive green.
It's just
Yeah.
bad on her.
Yeah.
Like in the right skin tone, it would look fine, but like not hers. So there's that. But the one that I thought that looked the best out of all of them was the suit. I was like, okay, but you look really cute.
She actually does.
Yeah.
She was pulling that suit off.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't hate the first dress that she wore in the entire movie either.
I hated
Except
the
for-
lapel thing.
Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
was that wasn't terrible though, and I loved her in the sari, honestly.
That one was cute.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That one was better. There were a couple of other ones where I was like, that's not the worst. I've definitely worn worse than that, you know? Like,
Well, the LA wedding pink dress, like it wasn't a bad dress. It was just a little too short on that really tall lady.
yes.
But otherwise, it was a fine dress.
She's got 12 yards of legs that come out of that dress, though.
Yeah, it's true.
There was another dress that she was in. It's the one where she has to wear the top hat, where actually the dress wasn't that bad. Just the top hat was the joke.
Yes. Well, she does make another joke where she's like, every bride loves her accessories. And it's like, yeah. I mean, that dress would be bad anyway because it's giving 80s. And maybe that was the theme, but.
Oh, the one where she has to wear the gloves?
Yeah.
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 I will say when they cut to the end, though, and all of them are lined up next to her, they very much suit the person that they're wearing, that is wearing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the black dress that she wears for, I don't remember the character's name. I just know the actress is Kristen Ritter. Again, also not a bad dress, just like obviously way too much for really anybody that is not in that like style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know, when they're having the conversation in that scene where he's like, why do you put up with this? Why do you do all this? And it's like, well, it's not about me. That's not my day. Right.
Yeah.
And so like, even when you get a dress where you're like, that's the color we're going with. Okay. You put a smile on and you say, I love it. It's the best. And so I love that, like that reoccurring thing of like, and the best part is you can shorten it and wear it again. It's and for sure. That is so true. That is what you say, right? It doesn't, what you think about anything else, like you shut the fuck up because it's not about you.
Correct. Although I will say, and this is maybe me, didn't love her bridesmaids dresses.
Yeah, she actually kind of did them dirty with that pale yellow again.
Yeah.
Don't quit putting pale bitches in pale yellow.
And her entire wedding scene at the very end is entirely washed out because everybody is like in these lighter linens and stuff. And I'm like, this is too many white people wearing light colors.
Yeah. It's too pastel-y. I get that it's, it's a beach wedding, but like, so blues, you know,
and
how
also,
gorgeous blues would have looked on the beach.
Right. And also, why does nobody have a tan? Like everybody is so pasty.
It's true. It's true. It's almost villainous. Yeah. It's like she was like, I know for a fact my sister hasn't been tanning.
Yes.
She's gonna get hers still.
Or more importantly, she was like, can you like not tan for a little bit because I need to have the pictures look just right.
Yeah. Honestly, okay, so I watched it with my sister last night, right? And like the movie hasn't even really started yet, and she's like, her sister's the worst. And like that is the message I take away from that movie every time. I'm like, I would kick that girl's ass.
See, and my response to Tess is the movie is trying so hard to make her the villain, and while she is very selfish and self-centered, and obviously what she's doing to George is shitty, but like she's not as much of a villain as the movie is making her out to be.
I fundamentally disagree. I started out at the beginning of rewatching the movie, I was like, she's a problem, but like I get kind of where she's coming from, and I do still, but I'm also like, the whole dating situation, like that's not on her, right? Like it was her sister's job to speak up about that, but destroying a family heirloom,
yes,
that's unforgivable. I'm sorry.
That's
especially when it was
line.
by choice. It wasn't like you knocked over a vase, right? It was you chose to cut up your mother's wedding dress and then didn't tell your sister about it until it was already fucking destroyed. Absolutely not.
No, yeah, like there are moments where she does completely awful things, but I just feel like the movie is trying so hard to make her the villain, and at some points I'm like, that's actually not her fault. That's Jane's fault for not telling her that she had a crush on George. Like, what?
Well, that she has a crush on George 100% is Jane's fault. That she's dating her sister's boss, that's still her fault.
Except she did ask Tess did ask Jane. After the night that they went dancing, she comes back and she's like, is this weird? And Jane's like, no, it's fine. So
yes. But she also asked in that way that is, I'm asking for you to confirm what I want you to say.
Sure, but you like each person owns their response, right? So it's, if it's a problem, Jane should still say something.
Yes, but there's something fundamentally manipulative about that. And like their argument at the end when she's like, I'm only like this because you force your care on me, essentially, is the argument that she makes, is bullshit.
Oh, no, it is.
She is
yeah.
manipulative, and she takes advantage of the fact that Jane is the way she is, right? Like, she understands that Jane is going to always do what's in her best interest first.
Yeah.
And she takes advantage of it. She even, at the end, when Jane says, if you don't tell George, I will, she's outright saying, when she says, no, you won't, you wouldn't hurt a fly.
Oh, no, I get what you're saying. I just think like, so the point I'm trying to say is like, yes, she knows that Jane won't say no, but at some but where is that line between like, I am not Tess or whoever, I'm not responsible for making these decisions based on what you will or will not do. Like if you are somebody who doesn't say no to requests, so I have to then filter everything because you won't say no. Do you know what I mean? Like I have to decide what I can and can't ask you because I can't trust that you will actually give an honest response.
I think that would be fair if she ever tried once.
No, I'm not.
She didn't. She did not ever try to filter and react and go, I wonder how Jane would react to this. Not once. So,
I'm not saying that Tess isn't bad. I'm just saying like the movie is spending so much time making her the villain for everything and ignoring the fact that some of it is also on Jane.
Well, it is also Jane's perspective.
Yeah.
I just think that where I think I disagree with you is I don't think the movie's trying to make her a villain, because it definitely puts you in the shoes of Jane, where you're like, I know that it is not my place to freak out, and it is my problem, not yours, right? And that's very much Jane's reaction to it, is like, it sucks. She is saying the rational thing. It's everybody who is aware of the situation that that reacts to it and says, that bitch, right? Like her best friend Casey. At no point does Jane hold that against her sister and tell her sister is doing things that are absolutely unquestionably shitty. And so I don't think the movie's trying to make her the villain. I think she is the villain.
At some points, yeah. I'm just saying I don't think it's as much as the movie is trying to make it be. In some points. Yes, cutting up the wedding dress, awful.
It's absolutely still my favorite line of, but you're my sister. That was yesterday. Today, you're just the bitch who cut up my mother's wedding dress.
And broke my heart.
Yeah. I'm like, that is the other thing, is Tess did know how much the dress meant to her. They have the conversation about it and everything. She knows how much where they got married and everything.
She, at the beginning of the movie, very clearly expresses that she thinks that her parents' wedding was stupid, that the boathouse was a bad idea, that the dress was ugly, and then proceeds to take all of those things from Jane, who wanted all of those things.
Yeah.
I don't see how she takes the boathouse from Jane.
She doesn't take it from her, but it's the same. It would be the same thing as if your friend said, I really loved your venue and I'm going to copy and paste what you did at your wedding. It's the same thing.
I guess I wouldn't care if somebody did that. So
that's because you are a much more rational human.
Well, I think the reason that I'm kind of trying to defend Tess a little bit here is one of the things that I, as a person, have like taken as my growth and journey is to like stop filtering myself based on how I think people are going to respond and react to me. So idea of having to say, oh, you're a people pleaser, and so no matter what I ask you, you're going to say yes, means that I have to like decide that I have to filter myself. And it's like, you are an adult, you can decide to say no.
No, and I absolutely agree with you on that. And that is 100% on Jane.
Yeah.
That she needs to learn how to stand up for herself. She needs to understand when it's time to say no. And as a recovering people pleaser, it is hard sometimes to do that, but you've got to. And that is 100% on her. She needed to tell her sister to stick it multiple times.
I agree. Jane is responsible. This is a bed of her fucking making, right?
Yeah.
Like, she had years of working under her boss to say something, anything, right? And she never did. And lets him walk all over her, which is a classic people pleaser move, right?
Yeah.
Where I think that where I see exactly where you're coming from, But where I don't think it applies to Tess in the same way is that it's in anything you have to give and take. Like you can't just completely shut off being considerate of other people's thoughts and feelings.
No, I get that.
And you can't just completely let people steamroll you either, right? You have to stand up for yourself. And they are posed as one never gives and one always gives.
Which is a classic thing they do with sisters.
Yeah.
And especially of this time.
Yeah.
And previous.
So probably we should back up and explain a little bit about our girl Jane and how she got to this crazy little situation she's in.
We kind of mentioned it a little bit, but it comes down to the fact that she just like doesn't say anything to her boss at work. She's a massive pushover, does anything he asks. She is his assistant, so like some of it is her job. But and I'm not proposing or whatever that she should go to her boss and say I have a massive crush on you, but she does moon over him and pine for him so much.
Everybody in the office knows she has a crush on him.
Yeah.
Yes. And after meeting Malcolm and sharing or Kevin, because he's both.
Malcolm is such a better name. Why did they have to call him Kevin?
I know. It's so basic. So after meeting him and sharing a cab, he finds her, he calls it her file of facts. It's just a fucking planner.
Yeah.
Like he treats it like her like she's from the like 1800s, and it's like, bruh, I use a planner today.
It is a little serial killery.
Hers is a little dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know how she's managing with all those fucking Post-its sticking out and shit. Like, what if you lose one?
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
I was like, none of that is secure.
No. But anyway, he finds it and realizes that she's in an insane amount of weddings after finding out that she is in 2 on the same weekend, on the same night. Which is another thing where I was like, do people get married at night a lot? Okay.
Apparently.
And also, you must not have been that good a friend that they didn't notice you dipping out for like 40 minutes at a time and coming back.
I don't know. When you're the bride in a wedding, you are so fucking busy. I barely remember talking to my family during my wedding.
I feel like on the bridesmaid side of it, as soon as you think you've got a moment of peace where like you're not expected to go be somewhere, be in some picture, do something, and you go to the bar and you think, I'm just going to get myself a drink. Immediately there'll be some bridesmaid running up to you. We have to do this. We have to do this. And you're like, God damn it. So that throws me a little bit.
Yeah. I just can't imagine how much time she spent in that cab. I don't know how far away these venues are, but in one night she went back and forth like fucking 10 times.
Yes.
Also, the amount that she offered him, I'm like, that wouldn't get you shit now.
I thought that same thing too. It was like $300 for an entire night.
I know. I was
in
like,
New York City?
goddamn inflation. Because like that doesn't seem like enough.
No.
Mm-mm.
It wouldn't have seemed like enough back then, I don't think.
I don't think so either. She needed to offer him like $3,000 to get away with what she did.
Unless they really were that close and he wasn't driving that much. Right?
But he still had to wait, right? He was there with her the entire evening, not picking up other people, getting other fucking
Yeah.
And
And he doesn't even get his $300 because he kept looking at the rearview mirror. And
which also like he has to. You're driving. You need to know what's behind you.
I don't know that taxi cabs in New York look behind them.
That's fair.
Not in my experience. I've been on some wild rides where I'm like, I might not get home, y'all, and that's okay.
I do love that he starts like in on it too. He's like, you're in the wrong shoes.
Yes. He's like committed to the bit. He's like,
Chucks her shoes
it.
out the window. Iggy!
But also, the other thing that I don't understand is the like speech specifically to one bridesmaid.
Yeah.
She's not even the maid of honor in either of these weddings, which I think is kind of how she's getting away with it.
Yeah.
And she gets these special speeches from both of the brides. And I like, she did do a lot of work, but I'm like, here's the thing. If I'm just a bridesmaid and you tell me I have to do all the things that she listed, I would be like, maybe I'm not a bridesmaid anymore.
Well, Jane is acting as a wedding planner for free.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All I could think is, okay, at the end of the movie, you know, she quits her job. I'm like, girl, go be a wedding planner.
Right?
You could do this and get paid bank for the amount of shit you do.
Right.
And you still get to be around weddings and you don't have to be the bridesmaid.
Yeah, you don't have to do that part of it.
Well, and she can capitalize on that whole article to like get her in. I think she's got a real future ahead of her.
I wonder how many of these weddings she was only in because the brides knew that she would do all this work.
At least half.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then should we talk about Kevin?
Oh, Kevin.
He is miles away from, he's just like so much hotter than George. I don't know why she's like all enamored with George, to be completely honest.
Oh, because, he dropped out of college, and yet later there's pictures of him at college. So I was confused about that, like graduating from college.
I know, right?
And he, started this great company, and he's very philanthropic and very outdoorsy, even though we never see her give two shits about being outdoorsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Kevin is just cynical and grouchy, and
I love him.
That's my type. That's my type.
It's kind of my type too, damn it.
yeah, they're classic. I don't want to say grumpy sunshine because he's definitely the grumpy, and she's like sunshiny, but it's almost in a way where you want to go, you need to stop this.
It's a passive aggressive sunshine.
It's a not healthy sunshine.
Yeah.
It's an avoiding all self-reflection sunshine.
Yeah.
It's like, if I just keep smiling, everything will be fine.
It's really funny though, because Jane's best friend Casey is also kind of like cynical and grouchy, and she's super partier and just like does whatever she wants. And so when Kevin shows up, it's like, yeah, maybe you just need to surround yourself with grouchy people.
Yeah. That make you want to stand up for yourself, because that's basically what Casey says constantly is that you need to tell him how you feel. You need to tell your sister that she's doing this to you.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, God, the grouchy one is always the one who has the common sense.
Yes, I am.
Yep. Same.
The thing too about Casey is I wanted more of her. She was really entertaining and had all the quips.
Well, that's Judy Greer's like MO.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's her whole thing. In fact, she wrote a book that was like, oh God, I can't remember the title. It was something like, never mind. Now I can't even do it right. Move on.
I kind of want to know the name of the book.
I do too.
It's something like, oh, here it is. I don't know what you know me from. My life as a co-star.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's been in so much stuff.
She's been the best friend in so many movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So many movies. It's kind of insane.
I love when it's not the first time you see her, but it's like after the first set of weddings that Jane is in, and she shows up and she's in the like tux shirt and pants, and then she has the like sash from the bridesmaid's dress wrapped around herself and she's like, 4-day walk of shame. Classy.
Yeah. It's like, God damn.
Like you couldn't just go buy underwear or something? Which, I mean, hopefully she did.
Listen, just the idea of the 4-day walk of shame is, you're telling me you were getting busy that long and you're not seeing that guy again? Either he did too well or not good enough.
Yeah.
She definitely has like a churn and burn mentality.
She does.
Of like, I'm going to go hot and heavy and then be done with you and never see you again.
Yes. I'm going to do things with you that I'll be ashamed of later, and I'm going to never see you again so I don't have to feel that shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much. I do love when you first meet her, though. She's in the bridesmaid's dress. They're going, and she's like, about your hair. And she's like, the bitch set up. It's up. I'm like...
Okay, but like, I have literally worked with those type of bridesmaids before, and I was like, bitch, you're going to look good and you're gonna be pleasant. Don't fucking make me be mean to you. God damn, some of them, it's like, I once had a bridesmaid like roll in like half an hour late, and I was like, I'm gonna kill you.
I just do not understand Jane at all. Why give yourself to so many people? And she seems to literally have almost nothing left for herself. Like her apartment, which by the way seems like a really nice New York apartment. I don't know how the fuck she's affording that.
Yeah.
She must get paid a decent amount.
Yeah.
This is my theory for how Jane got into this job. She worked her way up to the position she's in within the company and stayed there because it gave her family extra stable income when, first coming out of whether she like came right from high school or from college. I think I get the vibe
she says
from
college.
Yeah. But like she stayed and did the stable thing while
Mm-hmm.
Tess went and did the exciting thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's just another manifestation of her not even like really having dreams, because her whole dream is either this big wedding
Mm-hmm.
or is wrapped up in other people's dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because her father owns like a hardware store.
Right. Right. I think that the problem with Jane, the reason she is the way she is because she has primarily been rewarded for being a people pleaser.
Yep.
And so she sees that as the way that you gain other people's love and affection, and it's proven over and over and over again to be correct in her experience.
Well, I mean, the biggest kind of thing that feeds that, of course, she's got eldest daughter syndrome, but also their mother died when, at the very least, Tess was very young.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't know their age difference, but they seem pretty close in age.
I mean, just based on like the kid, it looked like Jane was about 12 and Tess was about like 7. That'd be
Sure.
my guess.
Yeah, I would think that's probably about right. And it was apparently just right after her mother had died.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
was the first like time that they had gone out since.
Yeah.
And it was not going well.
So, yeah, she's been rewarded her entire life for, oh, you're being, I would assume. Let me just assume based on some experiences. Oh, look at you. You're doing such a great job. You're taking so good care of her. Your dad must really love having you around. You're doing so much to help.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of that stuff. And so, of course, that's kind of how you become the way you are.
It would be one thing if it wasn't proven true for her over and over and over again, but
Yeah.
you can see that in these like instances where she's this bridesmaid, that they have all the praise and love and affection for her when she goes out of her way to do something extra nice for that
Mhm.
person.
Mm-hmm.
Like the going and trying on the bride's wedding dress for the like final hem, right? And that kind of shit. Like that's crazy shit. I
Yeah.
mean, like what? So, it's I don't think she gets probably affection if she doesn't do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like the only friend she has is Casey.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
At least the only unconditional friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why Kevin pushes her to say no the entire movie. That's like their whole relationship is her trying to explain the way she does things and him being like, but like, don't.
But like, say no.
But just don't do that.
You could literally do anything else, in fact.
Right.
That was one of my favorite moments of, can I have your drink? Yeah. No.
You were doing so well. I do also like that Kevin, yes, he's pushing her to say no, but he's also doing a really good job of making it clear to her where some of the things that she is doing, that's not like you taking care of your little sister. That is your sister as a bridezilla taking advantage of you. Like
Yeah.
those are not the same thing. And any other bride who has done that is also just taking advantage of you. Like that's not normal. Yes, he's pushing her buttons because they have banter, but also he's clearly doing it to like be like, this is not what normal people do. And I need you to understand that.
All I can think is Benny and the Jets.
Yeah, this movie has so many iconic scenes, from the montage of her putting on all the dresses,
Mm-hmm.
the Benny and the Jets scene, the walking out because you're the bitch who cut up my mother's wedding dress. There's a lot of iconic moments.
The revenge slideshow.
And that's, yeah, I was definitely, as Casey said, you're swinging too far the other way on that one.
It was aggressive, but also on the other hand, I was sort of like, she wouldn't have had those pictures to use if you didn't take them. Why are you taking pictures of yourself eating fucking like what was it, wings?
Dinosaur-sized barbecue ribs.
Yeah.
After you've been engaged to a guy that you've sold the lie to that you are a vegetarian? Why would you take a picture of that? That's weird.
Some of the pictures I do have to say, I'm like, who was taking this picture? Why does this exist? Some of them looked like way too staged for this purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Not candids or like something you would be taking.
And the thing is, if Jane was a slightly different character, you could make the argument that she was like sneakily taking these pictures of Tess, but that's not the character that Jane
No.
is.
No.
And so like, where did she get these, Tess? Where did she get these?
Right?
This is also a time before cell phones were really like, they existed, but not most people didn't have them.
No, and you didn't have them like
they were the
to
crappy
take
flip
pictures.
phones.
Yeah.
He at the end he gives her a BlackBerry, and that was a very fancy phone for the time.
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And he set the ringtone to Benny and the Jets.
That was very fun. I did have the little mental, and I do this every time when he gives her the BlackBerry of like, if you gave that to me, I'd be like, this is a nice gift, and then go put it in a drawer. I love my written planners. Like I have to see everything at once.
I also love my written planners.
Well, especially like BlackBerry wasn't up to the task.
No,
I'm sorry.
not what
They
she
were
needed.
not.
I had that exact model BlackBerry.
It would not do what she needed it to do.
No, I was like,
I need my written things
Yeah.
too. I have a desk calendar that the things that we record are on and when they come out are on, and it's in my phone because you put it in the calendar. Our shared calendar.
I have so many calendars, digital and physical, that it's honestly a little frightening. They're taking over my life. But one thing I want to say about this movie is that I, at the time, did not read romance novels when this movie came out. I was in college, so I didn't read anything for fun.
Yeah.
And so now, since we've been doing this podcast for like almost 2 years, what I noticed is that there are a lot of romance novels that seem to be based on the structure set up in this movie. Their plot is pointed out very similarly. Like they've got the yes, you have the grumpy sunshine characters.
Then you have to have the best friend side character who's like very tell it like it is and is constantly pointing out to the main character like how to fix her life or how to like stop doing whatever she's doing that's harming her in some way.
Even though she doesn't have her own life together.
Yes. And you have the like secretly you've been ships in the night crossing each other's paths. You've been at similar weddings before. Yes. He writes her favorite column in the newspaper. So there's that aspect to it. And then of course there has to be like a few outlier zany characters, like his best friend who's weirdly interested in writing commitments.
Because he can get all the ladies, use it to get them digits.
There's the like very bad red herring other love interest of George.
Oh yeah.
Right. And then there's also conflict for no other reason than people doing dumb shit.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, clearly there were some people influenced by this movie. And like have the author that jumps to my mind is Tessa Bailey.
Oh yeah, this is a Tessa Bailey-esque plot,
like,
for sure.
But like I know I've read other authors who have a very similar vibe.
So I want to mention it because we haven't talked about George, and we were giving obviously Tess a lot of shit, and that's fair. She does a lot of dumb things, but George is also a classic, just like, I'm a dumb guy and I'm here to do dumb guy shit. Like that's his whole fucking thing. I'm like, how did you like how?
It is so obvious she has a crush on him to everyone.
I'm not upset that he missed that because people miss that shit all the time. But just how quickly he falls for Tess, and what do they even know about each other? And all of a sudden he has these pictures of Tess on his screensaver, and I'm like, okay, creepy.
Right? They're good pictures, but still.
Yeah, that's the other flaw of this movie, by the way, is all of the pictures are very clearly done by professional top tier cameras. And I'm like, you bitches didn't have that. Where's the digital cameras? They look like shit.
With the exception of the one where his dog is jumping on her, which is my favorite. Because she's like making this face where she's like, oh. And I'm like, I know that bitch. I know that bitch who cannot stand animals. And that's exactly the face she makes.
Yeah.
I love that dog.
Yes.
I love a Burmese mountain dog.
What was the dog's name? Gatsby?
Yeah.
Gatsby.
Yeah.
You know, I totally see the argument that he didn't know, but part of me thinks he did, because otherwise the kiss at the end doesn't make quite as much sense, because at no point does she confess her feelings to him.
She does. She says
does.
at the very end, and I've been in love with you this entire time.
Yeah, but like leading until that moment, you know what I mean? Like,
right before the kiss.
Yeah.
She says it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, why would you do this 180 literally the day after your engagement broke up and go kiss your fiance's sister? Yes, I know, George's ex-fiance.
Yeah.
I know that, those two have known each other for 8 years, I think is how long. But still, you don't just turn around and kiss another woman. Romantic styles, you might go fuck around, but
It's one of those things. It would be hard to at least for me, to shut that affection off, even though he's very angry with Tess and everything, and he broke off the engagement, to instantly shut down the affection.
Well, this was the person you were supposed to spend the rest of your life with.
Yeah. Like, if you were truly in a position where you thought you were ready to marry her, to be able to turn that off instantly, even with, you know, everything that was shown to you, that nah.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing, because they break up right after the slideshow, and it's like, you're not even going to have a conversation. You're just going to walk out and say the engagement's off, and that's it.
Well, and while, yes, Tess did lie to him about some key things, they're also not...
It's not monstrous stuff.
They're
She's not
honestly-
evil.
The thing is none of them are really deal breakers. Like,
No.
her becoming a vegetarian for him, and yes, she lied and said, I'm a vegetarian, but she did also say it's new, which is a fact.
Yeah.
It is new, and she does break it, but people who become vegetarian, a lot of times that happens. It's like trying anything new, like a new diet of any kind. You're going to be like, oh man, but I really want that cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Well, and from his perspective, I don't think it's that she's not a vegetarian, right? Like, that's not
It's
the
the
issue. It's the
lying.
lying, right? But it's okay. She had his little brother Pedro cleaning the house. Yeah, it's weird that you fucking lied about that.
Yeah.
But like, also, you were supporting him in what he wanted to do. Like, that would be crazy for someone to get mad of, like, oh yeah, like my neighbor kid really wanted to earn some cash, so I let him mow the lawn. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, my parents are, oddly enough, still their next door neighbor. Their next door neighbor's daughter used to do that when we were like, I was the end of high school. I think she was in the beginnings or, well, middle of college at the time. She needed extra money, and mom was like, you dust my house and I'll give you, you know,
Right. Yeah. Like,
give you the extra money. And it's basically the same thing. Now, Pedro's quite a bit younger and everything, but it still is essentially the same thing. So you let him, you know, earn some money.
well, when my mom owned a business, it was an embroidery business for a while when I was in middle school and high school. And my best friend at the time needed a little extra cash. So she's like, okay, well, you can come, you know, work for me a couple hours after school and I'll give you a little bit of cash. Like, that's literally the same concept.
Yeah.
And well, and the other one is that she loves animals, and it's like, how did you not pick up on her not getting along with your dog, my
Like,
guy?
Yeah.
And so, and also to that same point, I don't think that the slideshow's that bad. Like, the worst thing she does is she has the one picture where she mocks her intensity or her care of her school experience because she has a guy who's putting his hand on her leg when she's a cheerleader.
Yeah.
But
And
again,
then-
that's typical. That was clearly high school. Like,
Yes.
what the
Yeah.
fuck?
And then there's the joke about international affairs, and she's clearly like cuddling up to these two guys.
But again, she was also a model. Like, she
Yes.
traveled to all different places. And who's to say that wasn't even like, that could have been a modeling picture for her.
Yeah. It's not as bad. The only part about it that's bad is, I mean, obviously the pictures are not appropriate for the situation, but also just what Jane is doing. And it makes Jane look as bad as Tess.
Oh yeah, it makes Jane look super bad, which I actually am kind of glad that her best friend points that out to her. She's like, yes, I told you to stand up for yourself, but this isn't what you were doing. That's not what this was inappropriate.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, though, if their relationship was different, that slideshow's funny as fuck.
Oh
yeah.
Right?
Actually, though. Yeah.
Like, I could totally see a bridesmaid doing that at a wedding, where it's like, we're gonna find pictures that just make you look like a dumbass.
If that was like one of us, and,
Yes.
and that would have been funny as fuck.
And
Yeah.
so what I think it speaks to more, like, yes, it makes Jane look bad because she clearly did it with the intent of making there be tension between her and George at the very least, right? But I think it says way more about her relationship with Tess that's not funny. You know, because it should be. It should, like, even up to the point where I think it's the cheerleader one where they finally are like, oh, the crowd gets kind of like this
Cringy thing.
Yeah.
they're all laughing. And so I think those two have not really been sisterly for a long time.
Yes.
Well, that's what Tess points out at the end, is she needs Jane to stop being her caregiver and pseudo mother and just be her sister.
Yes. But getting back to George, because he pisses me off.
Right? he is also not a good guy in this story.
No. No. He positions himself, I think, as a good guy.
Yeah, for sure. Because as much as you were saying, like, it's inappropriate for Tess as the sister to go after her sister's boss, it is equally, if not even more inappropriate for George to go after his employee's sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never been in a situation where that was possible, but I can imagine that would be very uncomfortable even if there aren't these extra feelings there.
Well, it just creates like a really messed up power dynamic in your personal life.
Yeah. I'm trying to picture it. It's a little different for me. I don't have a sister. I have one brother and he's older than me, but
Yeah. Just imagine one of your bosses now all of a sudden being at all of your family gatherings and all of your like Christmases and holidays and
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I like my bosses just fine, but no.
Yeah. And there are some relationships where that might work fine. And there's companies where I've worked at where that shit happens all the time. But no, it's not good.
Well, and it's different to like if they became your boss after.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a totally different dynamic. But my problem with him is that that's all it took for him to break up with Tess. And it's weak sauce at best.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. And this is why I think he broke up with Tess ultimately, is it put it in sharp perspective that he's known this woman for months.
Yeah.
I don't know how long they were dating before they got engaged, but it was, I would say, 6 months at best.
Yes. That seems
And
generous.
That seems generous.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they turn around and like a month later are getting married.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy town.
Uh-huh. Well,
it is crazy town. It like I would see maybe like, yeah, the slideshow having him go, oh, I don't really know her, and saying, hey, let's take a pause.
Mhm.
yeah.
Not necessarily break up, but let's actually get to know each other. Because you still like her.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like the time that you're spending together. And I can understand he's questioning, like, are you actually showing me any of your true self? Like literally any moment we're together. But you obviously enjoy just, I don't know, going to dinners together. So
Yeah.
maybe focus on that.
Maybe have a conversation,
Yeah.
not just kind of throw a temper tantrum.
And maybe it is something that you can't get past. Maybe it's something that you cannot get past the line because you never know if she's actually ever telling you the truth.
And I could see that.
Right. But it just seems so strange to literally just be like in an instant go and I'm done and out. Especially the reason that I feel like all of this is colored even a little bit more gross from George is the kind of speech or story he tells at the engagement. Or he's talking about how his parents met when they were playing hopscotch at like 8 years old and they were married for 42 years. And I've just been waiting to find somebody to have that type of a life and love with. And I'm like, that's really cute, but
This
not
isn't what you got here, bud.
right. So you're telling me that you really want somebody that can be like your partner in life for the rest of your life. It seems like he is also marrying Tess just because she fits this idea, kind of, instead of Tess at all.
It reminds me of this theory that gets thrown around the internet frequently, which is that a guy will often not end up with the love of his life because he waits until he's ready to settle, and then who's ever in front of him is who he ends up with. And it feels like if Tess didn't come along, eventually it would have been Jane, to her major disappointment eventually. Because he's supposed to be about 40, right?
That seems
late
right.
30s, something like
Yeah.
that. So obviously Jane's more age appropriate because I think she's supposed to be like 30 or late 20s.
I was getting like a 27 to 30 vibe off of her. Yeah.
She's there. She's dedicated to him. Like, I think eventually, under the right set of circumstances, they just needed the trigger. And since she wasn't going to ever say anything, it was going to be her. And that would have happened.
Probably would have been Casey just breaking down between the two of them once and be like, just
And now you kiss.
30 seems right because she started there after college, and I think she's been there for like 8 years. So.
Yeah. So you're right. So yeah, I have a general dislike of George.
I do too.
Also, his face is just like this. I don't want to dig at the actor because he is handsome, but like, it's just like the way he holds himself in this character that I just kind of want to like smack him. It's like, no.
He's a little too clean cut, I feel like.
Also, they put him in these fucking suits and shirts that are like, must have huge shoulder pads, or this man is just very square. I don't know which one.
I think he's just a big German guy. That's what he's given to me. And like, I think, yes, he to me is much cuter in a dress down situation, and he needs to fluff the hair. Like, quit slicking it, you know? But also,
the hair is what bothered me.
His face is like if you asked AI to produce a handsome face.
Ah, yes. Yes.
Like he is handsome, but almost like too handsome. Like in that he's bridged he's gone over the hump and is on the backside of it now.
Yeah, they definitely cast him correctly because he is handsome. You could understand how people would be attracted to him for sure, but he does not compare to Kevin.
Yes. James Marsden is just hot.
And he just has adorable moments when like he accidentally took a picture of her at one point and he's like, sorry. I'm like,
I don't know if he accidentally took that picture,
yeah,
Danny.
Sure
I agree.
But
you know, he's got his own little trauma he's working through because apparently he got left by his wife or fiance for his best friend. And so he's like, weddings are bullshit.
Yeah, but you know, he has his little growth moments,
Yes.
which is nice. It's nice to see a cynic just kind of like grow their heart a teeny tiny bit.
I love when he admits that he bawled like a baby at the wedding that she
Keller
read.
wedding, I believe.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That was a really great awkward line that leads to kissing. Peak. Like, I said the right thing, but we're breathing in each other's face. Let's make out.
The Benny and the Jet scene is really great though, because it is quintessential small town. Like you're in a dingy bar and there are just random townies who are like, who are these people? Oh, they're singing? You know what? I could sing too.
You know what? Yeah, let's sing some Benny
Let's
and
all
the Jets.
just sing together.
I love the guy that's like way too excited behind them when they first start singing and is like ramping other people up, and then he finds them at the like diner the next day and he's like, Benny and the Jets! And I'm like, what is your deal, my guy? Do you have no entertainment? Do you not have TV? Like,
So, funny story. I hadn't seen this movie in a really long time. Really, really long time. Like maybe since the first time I'd ever seen it. And for whatever reason, the line that still stuck out in my brain is Benny and the Jets. I was like, something about Benny and the Jets. I don't remember why I associate that with 27 Dresses. And now I remember. Now I know.
I still sometimes sing their wrong lyrics because they entertain me. She's got electric boobs.
Yeah,
Molezu.
that actor, the random guy, is he the brother in The Proposal, or is he just another townie? He's also in The Proposal, or the best friend.
I think he's best friend from yep.
I kept trying to.
You got me there.
I couldn't picture him.
He's the one who's at the flight tower, and
And Betty White says his full name.
No, he's the one who's like at the command center.
Oh.
And so Ryan Reynolds is like, Chuck! And he's like, I can't stop a plane from flying.
Most realistic part of that movie when he's like, what do you want me to do? Like,
it's not how this works.
Well, since we're talking about the kind of grand gesture from that movie, I love the fact that in 27 Dresses, the grand gesture is done by the lady and not the man.
I'm
a big fan of that.
I also don't know how she didn't biff it getting on to the boat.
I don't know how she didn't twist her goddamn ankle. Do you see those shoes she was doing?
Right, and that was like a very plasticky finish on the top of that thing. I was like, yay!
Yeah, she landed and I was like, oh god. I was so happy that she fell over immediately afterwards. I was like,
right?
Yeah.
Love
Stick
that.
the landing only to fuck it up later. That's a very me move.
Yeah, it is.
Honestly though, yeah. You won't hurt yourself when you have to like focus on not hurting yourself, but as soon as you stop focusing, you're falling down.
Oh yeah.
You managed to survive the trial that no one thought you could survive, but you tripped going up the stairs to get your award. That's the vibe.
Yeah.
That is totally you though. The one thing I will say about the Kevin and Jane of it all is I don't understand how she fell for him, because he did something so unforgivable.
Yep.
So fucking unforgivable. No, and I'm not talking about the article. He ripped a week out of her planner.
Well,
and do you know the things I would do to a person if you fucked up my planner? You would be dead. And I'm not joking.
I wouldn't even write in your planner. Maybe a sticky note.
You could write in a blank space, baby, that
I got the reference.
Yay! She got the reference.
I just needed to acknowledge that because I know you needed that.
I did. I'm so happy. Anyway, you could write in like any like margin something cute and little, and that would be fine. But if you ripped out a week of my planner,
Well, he boldly wrote in Sharpie across multiple
that
pages.
I think would be the thing that pisses me off.
That would piss me off.
Losing some pages out of my planner would piss me off, but it would be like annoying. Like I would just be like, why the fuck would you do that? Fine. And it would be fine because I have the most meticulous Google Calendar.
right, but she doesn't have that. This is her one and only thing.
Yeah. That would be pretty unforgivable. But the writing in on top of my shit, that I would be like, I'm gonna steal all your socks and I'm gonna dye one of them pink.
I am going to have you step on a Lego and a D4 at the same time.
I am going to replace all of your good batteries in all of your devices with shitty old batteries.
Oh, that hurts. Yeah.
So just everything, all your batteries are suddenly failing all at the same time.
I'm going to hide long hairs, just random places so that they wrap around your toes.
I'm going to take my shower hair and I'm going to
Oh.
put it in your drain. So your drain won't.
I would
And
take,
you won't know why. Why won't it drain?
I would take a wax melt thing and then I would dump the liquid wax everywhere. And so you have to clean up solid wax. And I'm using that as an example of something I had to do recently that's not fun.
I'm going to pour olive oil all over your kitchen.
Oh,
You know how hard that is to clean up? It's the devil.
I'm going to hide lemons around your house so when they start rotting, they will attract fruit flies, but you won't know where they're coming from.
Yes, because lemons don't smell bad as they rot,
Uh-huh.
but they attract so many goddamn fruit flies.
Uh-huh.
I'm taking all the labels off of your canned goods.
Oh, that one's just cruel.
That one is just cruel.
Now you got to play Russian roulette in order to eat. You think you're getting peas? No, you're getting an old can of Hormel chili. Bitch.
Oh, no.
So needless to say, don't fuck with this crew. But the article is unforgivable. Like I'm so shocked
It
that she
is.
forgives him so fast. Like, but also I get it because he's cute and he didn't mean it at the time in the way that it came across, right? But like, also, how embarrassing. I don't think. Ooh.
Well, and apparently plenty of people do read it because
Yeah.
she goes to a random person's wedding and she gets recognized. And then the diner in the small town. Like that one's even worse to just have like some random person. Like the bride, obviously she's reading that section because she's going to be in it soon. But the random person in a random small town being like, hey, you're the lady from the paper.
Well, and that's how she finds out that's happened
Right.
too.
Right.
I think I don't know if she said her in chief or what her title is, but she says something about she's going to give him a 2-page spread in the center. So
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's his normal place either where commitments usually are. So it's a big place for it to be. And what it looks like is its front page.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big article.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Many pictures in
Yes.
color.
Yes. And the thing is, even if he really just focused on how insane the wedding industry is and that we would even have somebody who feels the need to be in 27 dresses and in 27 weddings and all that shit, even if it was just that, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the headline is always, always, always a bridesmaid.
Yeah, that was, I was like,
Mhm.
because she fucking just wants to be a bride.
Yeah, but he does ask a really good question that she never answers is like, you just want a wedding, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what you want.
Which is true of a lot of people who
No,
get
it
married,
is. It is.
unfortunately. But I think deep down that's not really what she wants. She does want a relationship, but I don't think she knows how to be in one, which I get.
Yeah.
But I feel so bad for her because it's also, especially at that time, this implication that if you're alone, you must be desperate.
Yeah.
And
There must
sad
be something wrong
and
with you.
pathetic. Yeah, and so that's been broadcast all over the city.
Well, and also her poor relationship with her sister has been
Yes.
broadcast everywhere.
Yes.
And obviously Tess reacts incorrectly, but I can also understand why she's upset because she's also like been called out in it. But to just to as the older sister trying to like do everything that she possibly can for a younger sister, and then to have the entire city of New York know that your relationship is not good, like that's also devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, because Tess freaks out because he basically points out that she is a giant bridezilla.
What she is.
And she is.
She's also trying to plan a wedding in 3 weeks, so there's no way to do that without.
By her choice.
Yeah, no, that was just a terrible choice.
Yeah. I think that's honestly one of the harder things for me to fully wrap my head around, is that I fully get why she's upset, but to go on the attack on Jane as if it's her fault, as if she isn't the most obvious victim in this. There are no pictures of Tess or her wedding involved with this. So she could be anybody. She could just be anybody.
But Jane is splashed everywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
She thought she was just doing something goofy with somebody that could possibly end up being a friend to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was having a weird afternoon.
And then to have it turn into something like kind of romantic, even if it is a drunken hookup, and then be like, oh, you were just used. You were being used.
Yes. And I don't know how you have any takeaway other than that. It's so embarrassing on so many fronts, especially when you're a person like Jane, who's like, says over and over and over again that she doesn't do things like this.
Yeah.
So she made an exception for you, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
And then you turn around and do this to her?
Well, and not only does she forgive him, she forgives him enough that they're married 1 year later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which in and of itself is a quick turnaround, let alone the very rocky start to your relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Why y'all moving so fast?
That's my question. Like, why do you need to get married 1 year later?
Yeah. It should have been 2 years, 3 years later. Because then, they dated for a year or a year and a half, and then the proposal happened. And it takes a while to plan a wedding, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Like, even the most chill wedding, it takes a long time.
What do you think? Like, do you think Tess and George just ended up friends at the end, or did they like get back together at some point?
It's kind of heavily implied that they're going to end up back together.
Right.
But on better stances where her need to explain her living situation and stuff is her kind of saying, this is me for real this time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's at least they're going to be starting out on better footing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, clearly him and Jane stay friends in spite of all the weirdness. So that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were both pretty comical after the kiss, that they're just like, yeah, no, nothing. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Deuces.
Going back to my point about this being a perfect inspiration for a romance novel, is at the end, you get Casey, and I cannot think of his best friend's name.
I don't think we actually even get the name.
That might be possible.
Yeah, I don't remember ever getting the name.
But like, if you were doing, a novel series, they would be the next couple.
Yeah.
And like the third book would be Tess and George.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there'd be like all of this history that you have to get past. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like, if they were feeling really inspired, the fourth book would be one of the weddings that she was in. She's gotten divorced because it wasn't that good of a relationship. And so now it's going to be the 28th dress because she's found the one. Well, actually, it'd be the 30th.
Yes.
Because it would have Casey and you would have had Tess.
It would
number 30. You would have to write that book.
For sure.
Technically, it would be 31st because she says at the end of this movie, and then I put on my 28th dress, and it's her wedding dress.
That doesn't count.
That doesn't work that way.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
You might be spitting facts, but I disagree with them.
Also, Kevin's best friend is Trent. And for some reason, Kristen Ritter is billed as Gina the Goth. Not just Gina, it's Gina the Goth.
That's what I want on my tombstone. Erin the Goth. Was she a goth? No.
In her soul, she really was. She just didn't have the energy to like do it on the outside.
Yeah, really committing to any fashion choice was not her thing. Sweatpants were the jam.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's ratings time.
What is your romance rating? I'll be honest with you, like there actually isn't a lot of romance in it for being a rom-com, and for like the big ending is that Kevin and Jane end up together. Like
yeah.
they don't spend a lot of time together.
Yeah. And I think honestly this movie is more pointing out the flaws in imagined romance than it is on emphasizing true romance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go with the 2.
That feels right.
Yeah.
I like that. Gavel, gavel. What's your spice rating? I don't know.
They did have a sex scene in a car.
They did.
We did have a fade to black sex scene.
I
So-
mean, for the time, that was as far as
That
it
was
went.
pretty spicy for the time, but so I guess because it is there, I'll give it a 1.
I don't know if I could give it
I was
that.
gonna say a 0.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Overall rating.
I think this movie really holds up. I thought it was good back then when I was a teenager and didn't know shit about fuck. And I think it's, pretty good now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually held up fairly well, which cannot be said for a lot of the movies from that time period.
Very,
Right.
very fucking true.
Right.
So I'm going to give it a solid 4.5. I think it's still very good.
I'm going to give it a 4, but yeah, it still holds up really well. I was very pleasantly surprised.
Uh-huh.
For instance, Clueless, I made it watching like maybe 10 minutes in before I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
There are quite a few of those where I'm like, ooh,
yeah.
we made some choices there.
What about you?
Oh shit, yeah, I have to do it too. I think I'm also gonna go with a 4, maybe a 4.25.
Oh, that's right. We do those now.
I do that. I decided. I think that if you go into this more for like the comedy, then it's a great movie.
Mhm.
But
Oh,
if you
yeah.
were like, oh my gosh, I want to watch some lovey-dovey shit, that's not really the point.
Nah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are your recommendations? And there are many possibilities.
There is. The one I was going for is How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that time for
the,
sure.
Yeah.
The writing angle, it's the time period, that kind of thing. It doesn't really have the wedding angle so much, obviously, but it feels on point.
Well, yeah. I
It's
like
now, granted, take that with a grain of salt. I have not seen it in fucking years. I remember loving it though.
My recommendation is going to be The Wedding Planner, also of the time.
Understandable.
Yep. Yep. Very wedding centric. Young Matthew McConaughey, which is always nice. And also, like, getting back to this movie, one thing we didn't talk about is the cast is stacked. Like, most of those people either
Mhm.
already had really great careers
Yeah.
or went on to have really great careers.
Yeah.
What is that about? So good job to that casting director. You nailed it. But similarly, quite a few people from that movie went on to have really big careers.
Yeah.
So
Wedding Planner's J-Lo too, isn't it?
it's
Yes, it
J-Lo.
is.
I can't think of what the actor's name is, but the guy who plays Massimo is Alex Karev.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I need to watch
And
Wedding
Judy
Planner.
Greer is in
I
the
was
wedding
just
planner.
going to say that. Yeah. So you got the Judy Greer connection, who's, again, a best friend.
in
and-
everything.
And what the fuck's her name? The one who plays Mary in
You got to give me way more than that.
Focus. My brain kept saying
Oh God, what is her name? Now I can't think of the actress's name.
Kathy Najimy.
Thank you.
There we go.
I love her.
Yeah. So again, really stacked on that cast.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to pick My Best Friend's Wedding.
Ooh,
It's a little bit older, but still, I mean, we've got the wedding vibes. We've got the kind of like unrequited love situation. Also, I haven't seen it in a long time, so there's probably more connections.
Gotta love you some Julia Roberts.
Yeah. I feel like there's just so many movies that you could pull from.
That's true. I'm gonna make a statement here, and I feel strong in making it.
Mm-hmm.
They do not make rom-coms like they used to,
No.
and it's a real goddamn shame because they were good.
Well, I was going through a list of movies because I was like, oh, there's so many. Which one am I going to pick? And I ended on My Best Friend's Wedding, but like The Ugly Truth came to mind,
Mhm.
which I know that one didn't age well, if I remember correctly.
Runaway Bride.
Yeah, that one too. Like there's just so many. And I think you made a really good point. Almost any Tessa Bailey book. Like if you're looking for
Yeah,
this, just pick
yeah.
up her books.
It's very of that style.
Yeah. I think My personal favorite is It Happened One Summer. That one's very good. I don't really know how much it matches this movie, but it's just a really good book.
I did like that one. Yes. Yeah. Haven't read the sequel yet. Don't look at me.
That's fine. It's fine.
It's not fine.
Okay. So yeah. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of the episode. If you like this episode, you can find us out there on the socials at Wrong Dust Jackets, or you can go to our website, wrongdustjackets.com. You'll find a list of episodes that we've done, which is an insane amount at this time, ones we have coming up, as well as our blog posts. And we would absolutely love it. It would make us so happy if you gave us 5 stars, a like, comment, whatever is available to you on your podcast listening app. That helps us. So that's what I've got. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.